What is going on, Jet fans? Matt O'Leary back with another video. Today we're going to talk about Mike Vrabel, how he is officially available to interview for head coaching positions and that the New York Jets should have interest. Adam Schefter reported that Mike Vrabel's consulting agreement with the Cleveland Browns has come to an end today. So what does that mean? Well, good news. That means he is officially available to interview for head coaching positions because he's no longer employed by an NFL team. There are 3 teams currently who do not have a full-time head coach. That is the New York Jets, the Chicago Bears, and the New Orleans Saints. Those are the 3 teams that could get a jump start on this process. The Jets got that going earlier today with Ron Rivera, and they can do the same thing with Mike Vrabel. And here's my message to the New York Jets. Bring him in for an interview. Do it. Go for it. Look, I completely understand, and I will be the first one to tell you that the order is supposed to be general manager and then the head coach. And that's the truth, and that's how I want it to end up. I don't want the Jets to hire a head coach first and then look to pair him with the GM. No. Go out there, hire a GM, hire a head coach, but you are starting this process early. That's why the New York Jets allegedly made this decision, so that they could begin this process of finding the new GM and the new head coach early, before some of these other teams, like maybe the Giants or to Tennessee or any team, the Raiders, before any of these other teams who might be firing people start their process. The Jets are looking to get it done earlier. And Mike Vrabel is the guy that I genuinely want them to hire the most. There are other candidates that I think would be good hires, and at the end of the day, I would be happy with the decision. But for me, my number one guy that I would like is Mike Vrabel. I feel like most Jets fans want Mike Vrabel to be the hire, which means most likely they won't hire him, and instead they'll hire someone like Jim Tom Sula or something like that. But I hope that's not the case. But please, Woody Johnson, Brick Johnson, whoever's running the show, somebody bring in Mike Vrabel for an interview, sit down and just talk to the guy. Now, why do I want him to be the head coach? This seems obvious to me, but I will talk about it. He has a over 500 record during his career in the NFL as a head coach. He has made the playoffs multiple times. He has gone on a deep run to the AFC Championship game with Ryan Tannehill as his quarterback, proven success at the NFL level as a head football coach, not as a coordinator, right? Like, so many times people say, oh, I don't want to bring in another defensive guy. Well, that's fine if you're looking at a first-time head coach. But if a player comes from, or if a coach rather comes from a specific side of the ball, offense or defense, but then proves that they could do this at the head coach level, which encompasses everything, then they are a proven head coach, which is what Mike Vrabel is. I almost said Mike Tomlin. He is another good example of that, but Mike Vrabel is. And he's had success in the NFL recently. I mean, within the last 5 years. I'm not talking Rex Ryan 10 years ago. I'm not talking John Gruden 20 years ago. I'm not talking Vince Lombardi 60 years ago. I'm talking within the last 5 years. He has had success at this level as a head coach. Some other reasons, he's not going to put up with any nonsense. I think the Jets, something they usually do is when they fire a coach, they kind of go with the polar opposite. I think of some good examples. Eric Mangini, more of a stern, stoic type. They go to Rex Ryan, who is a little bit more of a personality. And you could say the same thing even with Herm Edwards, a little bit more personality before Eric Mangini. And then after Eric Mangini, they go to Rex, and then they go to Rex to Bowles, who's a little bit more stoic again. And then they go to Gase, who I don't know what you would classify Adam Gase as. A moron, but they go to Adam Gase, and then they go to the more players, coach, defensive-minded guy in Robert Saleh. And now this time, I think they're going to go back to someone who's a little bit more stern and not so much like, I'm going to be the players' best friends and hold their hand through the process, because clearly that did not work with this team. There have been also multiple documented examples of smart in-game coaching decisions from Mike Vrabel. Instances, New England against the playoffs was a great example of how he used the clock management and how he used, honestly, like penalties to buy him more time. Houston, he did the same thing against Houston in 2020. Took a penalty on purpose to extend more time. can manage the clock, which is important. Jeff Ulbrich and Robert Saleh were horrendous clock management coaches. He knows when to go for it on fourth down. When his last year, which wasn't a very good year, he was third in the NFL in fourth down success rate for like the situation when they were supposed to go for it. By the numbers, he was third most accurate at that. And he just puts his team in good situations. Things didn't end well for him in Tennessee. Ryan Tannehill was very injured the last 2 years. They traded away A.J. Brown and drafted Treylon Burks instead. Supposedly the rumblings was that he did not want to trade A.J. Brown. The GM did. There was a falling out, and the rest is history, unfortunately. Again, things did not end poorly, but it never bottomed out to the point where they were like a 2-15 team. They played tough, 6-7 wins the final couple of years, but started off hot, 9-7, 9-7. 12-win team in there, AFC Championship game. He's coached many good teams. He knows what it takes to win in this league. He knows what it takes to win in this league within the last half a decade, and he is the best candidate for the position. I hope the Jets take him very, very seriously and bring him in for an interview. Let me know your thoughts. I'm Matt O'Leary, and I'll catch you next time.